Napoleon Katsos. I'm a linguist. I teach linguistics and I also do research at the Department for Theoretical and Applied Linguistics of the University of Cambridge. I'm from Greece originally, though I have been in the UK for over 15 years now. I studied in Greece, so I was at high school. I really liked classics and psychology. And it's not really clear what you do when you actually like classics and psychology, but I think the comparison between classical Greek and modern Greek, which is the language I speak naturally, sort of made me more sensitive to the differences between languages. In fact, in this case, the differences between varieties of the same language. And that inspired my curiosity about how languages change. On the other hand, I was also very interested in psychology and how the mind processes information, cognitive psychology especially. At university, classics kind of predominated, and I studied Greek literature and linguistics. And when I came here in Cambridge to study applied linguistics is when I actually managed to combine my two passions. So I did psycholinguistics, which is the study of linguistics on the one hand, and the mind, and how the mind processes and acquires languages. My interests in university were about classical languages on the one hand, and how languages change and evolve over time. Now, in a way, this is a study into creating models, abstract models of language, and explaining how they evolve. At some point I got really curious about, well, this all happens in the abstract, but language is an ability that we each have. So it must somehow be based in some ability that we have in the mind, and presumably in the brain itself. So it's through this interest in language as a system, as a dynamic live system that changes and responds to some pressures from the environment and some tendencies of the speaker on the one hand, and on the other hand, curiosity about the mind and the brain and where is this our ability to learn and use language stored, put together, brought me to study linguistics. I'm interested in a number of aspects. As a theoretical linguist, I'm interested into certain divisions into language competence. So linguists draw distinctions between the ability to produce and comprehend sounds, so the sounds that a language is made out of, as opposed to syntax, which is the ability to put words together in the correct order. Now, my particular area in this respect is semantics and pragmatics, that is the study of the meaning of words. What exactly is the meaning of words? And how does the meaning of words change depending on the situation and the use that we make of these words? So somebody might ask, would you like a drink? And the other person might say, I love coffee. They haven't literally answered your question, but you can very easily infer what their communicated and intended meaning is. So that is an area of study called pragmatics, and it deals with language use. I'm really interested in understanding how implied meaning, and sometimes how very subtly and subtly implied meaning is communicated. So in a sense, we're trying to develop a grammar, but not a grammar for how you put words together to combine to make sentences, but a grammar of conversation. On the other hand, I'm really interested in how we acquire this ability. So how do children learn to communicate effectively? And in at a more, even more general level, I'm interested in how we learn languages in the first instance. Many of us will not only learn one language, but will learn two or even more. And the fact that you're learning a number of languages means that this knowledge that you have in your mind will interact. I'm particularly interested in cases where people learn two languages from birth, because there they have to build two linguistic systems, two representations from the very beginning. And I'm also interested about what learning a language means for the mind. So the mind is not passively there just learning a language, it is in fact affected by the process of learning a language. So it might mean that by learning a language, your mind becomes better at learning other kinds of knowledge as well. So in my area of study, an important question is, how do we learn more than one language, and what is the process through which we consolidate this knowledge? In addition, an important question is, what does the process of learning a language mean for our ability to learn itself? So many of us, many people in the planet will be born bilingual in an environment where they're exposed to two or more languages. Many more people will learn an additional language in adolescence or in adulthood. Their experiences will be similar to some extent. They will acquire two sets of vocabularies, two grammars. However, they will be substantially different as well. A child being exposed to two languages from birth is likely to acquire native competence in both. Whereas if you've tried to learn a language as an adolescent or an adult, you might feel that it was a laborious task, you had to struggle, and you might not reach that level of competence that the native speakers actually reach. We're interested in why is this the case, and is it fair to just say that the younger you learn a language, the better? And also, what does this mean for your cognitive abilities? So what does it mean that you're learning a language, about your ability to process and memorize information in general? I think linguistics is not a very well-known field of study. There aren't many educational systems in the world where you could study linguistics at high school. Of course, you do study linguistics through a number of different other subjects. It's just not highlighted as such. If you're studying a classical language, you're studying a foreign language, you will inevitably compare this with the languages that you already speak, and that might sparkle your curiosity about the process of learning a language. But there's also a number of opportunities, in daily life that can sort of make you stop and wonder about this unique ability that we have as humans to communicate very complex ideas, using what is essentially palpitations of the airwaves. When our vocal tract moves, or there is nothing in the physical world, so to speak, in the physical world, so to speak, that you can touch and observe. However, this acoustic signal manages to communicate very complex ideas. So perhaps you found yourself in situations where you said something which was very benign and well-meaning, and it was misunderstood. Or you found yourself in situations where you didn't manage to communicate what you wanted to communicate, and you've offended a friend. Linguistics is the field of study that will help you understand the rules of conversation, how meaning gets across, and how sometimes we might miscommunicate.